Right, so last night I found out about the Maignan deal collapsing, and to be honest with you, I've been working so hard that I was too exhausted to even get myself worked up about it. But this morning, I am really pissed off about this whole stupid situation. And it's not the whole transfer situation. I'm not even bothered about the Jamie Gittins deal not getting over the line. We might still sign him after the Club World Cup. To be completely honest with you, I'm not all that bothered whether we do or whether we don't, as long as we just don't go and sign Garnacho instead of him. But my main source of frustration today comes from the goalkeeping situation. Now, I'm a glass half full kind of man. I choose to see the good in things with my football club, and I support the team. As I did last season, by the way, when everyone thought I was delusional when I was saying that we would finish 4th, even though we were sat 7th or 8th in the league and our form was plummeting. And now, because of that mentality that I choose to adapt when supporting my club, when there's nothing that I can do about certain situations, I try not to focus on them all that much. And that's why when Robert Sanchez in the final third of the season stopped making howlers week in, week out, I stopped criticising him. I'll go one better than that. I started praising him at every given opportunity to do so, and that is how I support my club. But there is a line between support and delusion, and trust me, I do know that line. So when the chance comes that we can actually change personnel and bring in someone better, I'll always embrace that opportunity. And Robert Sanchez did a brilliant job for us in that run-in last season. He made some crucial saves, some saves that definitely saved us points, maybe even won us matches. But as much as he redeemed himself, let's not go over the top. He's not the difference maker, and now we must level up. And naturally we're going to do that because we've got a young squad. Players will learn, they will evolve, their transfer value will increase, they will get better. But Robert Sanchez, I'm not sure falls into that category. His transfer value hasn't gone up. He hasn't really been linked with any other clubs, and you're simply hearing less criticism of him at this moment in time, which is definitely a good thing, but it still doesn't mean he's good enough, does it? In fact, a few days ago, there were briefings coming out that Chelsea were willing to offer Robert Sanchez as part of a swap player plus cash deal to West Ham so that we could go in for Kudus. And then when the Maignan story broke, I was over the moon. It's exactly what we needed. Experience between the sticks. A senior head, a man that has been there, done it and won it. And obviously we've been quite hit and miss with signings under this new ownership, and I'm not actually talking about the calibre of player that we're bringing in. It's more so the fact that the ownership sometimes fail to realise that agreeing personal terms of a player and convincing a player to come to Chelsea Football Club does not get that player through the door. You have to convince the club to sell their asset in the player to you, rather than just sweetening up the player and then thinking that all of the pieces will fall into place, because that is simply not how it works. Because Maignan wants to come to Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea Football Club want Maignan. AC Milan know that Maignan wants to come to Chelsea Football Club, and AC Milan understand that Maignan is not going to sign a new contract. But at the same time, AC Milan are standing firm, and they will not accept an offer for Maignan that they do not feel meets their valuation of the goalkeeper. Now, personally, I am absolutely gutted that we haven't got this deal done, because not only do I think that it can be a game changer for us next season, I think it could have been a game changer for us in the Club World Cup. And by the way, I have to remind you, teams are taking the Club World Cup seriously now. There was a few years ago when Chelsea were in the Club World Cup, winning the Club World Cup, and I'll be honest, I was spoiled. I wasn't even really that bothered. But teams are bothered now, so much so that we're now hearing of Club World Cup tax, and you're getting that all the time at the minute. So here's what's happened in a nutshell. Chelsea want Mike Maignan now, Mike Maignan wants Chelsea now, but if Chelsea wait until January, then Chelsea can just sign a pre-agreement with Mike Maignan, and therefore he will come for free the following season. Now, you lot know I am an eternal optimist, but let's say that the Premier League season doesn't play out the way that we're expecting and hoping it does. Let's say we're 7th or 8th in the league in January. Mike Magnan's not a Chelsea player yet. Mike Maignan owes no loyalty to Chelsea Football Club yet. So, if a better offer for a club who look more likely to be getting Champions League football at that time come in for Mike Maignan, who's to say that he will sign a pre-agreement with us in January? If AC Milan are top of the league, who's to say he won't sign a new contract with them? So I do think that is a bit of food for thought, but I also do get that there is no point in paying well over the odds for a goalkeeper that we can get for free in less than a year. But the elephant in the room was the Club World Cup, because winning the Club World Cup could see you win about £100 million. And that can obviously go a massive way into reinvesting into the infrastructure of the club, and more importantly, the recruitment of the club. It's not at all a stretch to say that whoever wins the Club World Cup this year will have a better season next season as a direct result of winning it. And that's why you see the likes of Real Madrid paying for Trent Alexander-Arnold, even though they have already secured his signature on a free. That signature is only from a certain date, and that certain date wouldn't fall in line with him being able to link up with Real Madrid for the Club World Cup. And knowing that there's about 100 million quid at stake, if they're to pay 10 mil, I think that's around what they paid Liverpool for Trent Alexander-Arnold, then they're probably looking at it and they're thinking, right, Trent could be the difference between us winning and not winning the Club World Cup. So if we pay 10 mil for him and then we net 90 mil for winning it, then we have made a very sensible, calculated decision. And by the way, you don't just get the money for winning it. So that 10 mil for Trent Alexander-Arnold, bearing in mind Real Madrid will get, you'd imagine, fairly far in the Club World Cup, they will have already covered that money anyway. So when you compare that Trent situation with Real Madrid, you can make the comparisons between Mike Maignan and Chelsea. Having a player of that quality and of that experience is definitely going to give us a better chance, isn't it? Not just in the Club World Cup, but next season. So Chelsea, unofficially, we're hearing, table a bid of around £8.5 million to AC Milan. AC Milan say, nope, nowhere near. We value him at around 3 times that price. Now, for me, that is actually ridiculous. Mike Maignan will be 30 next season. I'm not saying that's old by goalkeeper standards. That means realistically, you've definitely got half a decade in your prime. God forbid injuries, get involved in that. And some goalkeepers, I mean, look at the likes of an Edwin van der Sar. But just quickly, I want to take 1 minute to tell you guys about new partner of the channel, Nyla Apparel. I was lucky enough to be sent some clothes by these lot around a month ago, and I've got to be honest with you, since receiving them, they have become my go-to for both t-shirts and now for tracksuits. Now, I would not vouch for something unless I truly believed in the product, and anyone that's seen me out and about around town will know that I am wearing the Nyla t-shirts all of the time. The first thing I noticed about them was how good the quality was, and then when speaking to the guys at Nyla, I found out that the money spent on material in comparison to what the actual t-shirts are sold for is probably about 10 times less than you would usually sell a t-shirt for that cost at. Basically, I'm of the opinion that they're spending about the same on materials as you do most t-shirts in flannels, but instead of paying 200 to 300 quid, you're paying about 10 times less than that. Instead, you're looking at £32 for the t-shirts, including free shipping, and just over £100 for the tracksuits. tracksuits. No shade thrown here, but the other day I had my eyes on a Nike tracksuit in JD Sports. I got it, I went to the checkout, and I was nearly at the point of having a heart attack when I found out that tracksuits, I always assumed, back in the day, growing up, were 100 quid. They're now costing over 200 quid, and these ones are exactly the same quality. So if you want a great fit at a great price for clothing that suits all occasions, hit the link in the description and browse the Nyla website. Thanks again to Nyla Apparel for their support with the channel. Let's get back into the video. They can go on till about 40 years old or something like that, so you could have even longer than that at the top. But if AC Milan think that this man is the difference maker between them securing Champions League football next season, making a push for the Serie A title next season, then I can completely understand why his value to them as a club is worth a lot more than £8.5 million. And that is why when Chelsea came in with an improved offer of around £15.5 million, I was pretty certain that the Maignan deal would get over the line. Wrong! AC Milan want 21.5 million from Chelsea Football Club, and that's even them budging on what they originally wanted. Now, I'm hearing a lot of people saying, right, that if they want 21.5 million and we bid 15.5 million, for the sake of 6 million, we might as well just do it. You spent 30 odd million on Kiernan Dewsbury Hall and never even played him. Amari Kellerman, 20 million when he had a market value of 1 million. You spent 50 odd million or something like that on João Felix and then loaned him out after 6 months. But at the same time, I do feel like this ownership want to set a precedent, or at least undo the precedent that was already set in terms of overpaying for players. And I want Maignan. I want all the best players. Let me have that known. But there are real serious circumstances when it comes to overpaying for players later on down the line, and we'll speak about that in this video. Now, you could be cutting your nose to spite your face by walking away from the Maignan deal, because when you compare Maignan to Robert Sanchez, as I have done, by the way, using Squawka, you can see that we are talking about a different class of goalkeeper here. When it comes to saves made, Robert Sanchez just about edges Maignan, okay? When it comes to save percentage, Robert Sanchez just about edges Maignan. However, when we talk about a ball-playing goalkeeper, right? When we talk about a goalkeeper that's good with his feet, which is what we as a club thought we were getting in Robert Sanchez, as you can see from these stats: passes completed, passing accuracy, long pass accuracy, touches, possession lost, Maignan absolutely pisses all over Robert Sanchez. And those two categories that Robert Sanchez does exceed Maignan in, he doesn't exceed him by a lot. And to be honest, you could look at maybe the amount of shots they faced, and therefore you could go, well, Maignan might have a better defence in front of him, something like that, and therefore that is why Robert Sanchez exceeds him in those categories. You don't need me to read you out stats and stuff like that. Like, we all know that Magnan's a much better goalkeeper. I mean, this man's France's number one. This man's France's number one. He actually made team of the tournament in the last Euros. Where was Robert Sanchez at the last Euros? Was he second choice? Third choice for Spain? No, he wasn't. He didn't make the squad, right? Robert Sanchez has made 5 errors that led to goals this season. Maignan has made 5 errors that led to goals in his last 5 seasons of league football, right? And we speak about the errors that lead to goals. Now, remember, there's a stat that isn't out there or available, or I can't find it, and that's the errors you make that don't lead to goals because the striker ends up fluffing his lines or something like that. So there's way more than 5 errors, right? Robert Sanchez is making these errors, and sometimes the stats aren't showing it because he's being bailed out by poor finishing. I mean, I don't even know why I'm sat here explaining to you guys that Maignan is a way better goalkeeper than Robert Sanchez. You have brains in your head. You already know that Maignan pisses all over Robert Sanchez. But here is where I may piss some of you guys off. And that is because I am going to tell you that I wasn't initially heartbroken when I heard that the Maignan deal had fallen through. And there were 3 reasons why I wasn't heartbroken, right? Firstly, is because I think that we'll still probably get him after the Club World Cup. Again, I'm not going to want to pay as much money. I don't, think that the Club World Cup tax is relevant anymore. And therefore, I think that the bid that we had of around 15 million should be enough to do it. We might still get him after. 2, if we value a player at around 10 million and then end up paying 20 million for them, it really doesn't set a good precedent, as I said, because when you look at players that might be valued at around 20 million, for example, what are we then going to do? Are we going to pay 40 million for them? What if they're valued at 40? Are we then going to pay 80 million for them? And in the short term, great. You get the deals over the line. You get the players that you want. But what if these players don't work, right? Because before you know it, you end up doing deals like that, and within a decade, you're Man United. And no one wants to be Man United at this moment in time now, do they? Do you know what I mean? So you don't want to be overpaying for players when you don't need to, and you don't want every other club knowing, we can pull these guys' pants down, because eventually they'll come running back and they'll overpay for that player. And thirdly, and this is the most important point here as to why I wasn't heartbroken when I found out that the Maignan deal had collapsed, and that was because we already have a goalkeeper in our ranks who is so much better than Sanchez. And I am not talking about Jorgensen, I am talking about my boy Georgie fucking Petrovic. Now, he came in halfway through the season under Pochettino. None of us knew him. Robert Sanchez had been making howlers all season long, and Petrovic comes in and immediately just levels us up completely. Such a better goalkeeper. Better with his hands, better with his feet as well. We became such a better side when Petrovic came into that side. Now, when they sacked Pochettino, or Pochettino left, God knows why, he's gone to America, he's absolutely doing rubbish, by the way. When they sacked Pochettino, or Pochettino left, I thought that the next manager that comes through the door will be working with Petrovic. Wrong. They ship him out to Strasbourg after all that he did for us. Well, that's that then, playing in Ligue 1, probably the last we even hear of him. Wrong again. He goes to Strasbourg, he absolutely smashes it. He wins their Player of the Season award. And then, finally, we hear the news that we've been waiting for, that he'll be coming back from Strasbourg and joining back up at Cobham with Enzo Maresca and the rest of the team, because I'm so confident that once Enzo Maresca gets a chance to see him in training and to see him in a match, he will make him his number 1. But don't just take my word for it. Let's go back to Squawka and let's have a little look at the player comparison matrix between Georgie Petrovic and Robert Sanchez. And as you can see on screen now, I'm not even going to read out the categories. Petrovic absolutely pisses all over Robert Sanchez. And look, I'm going to say it once more. I'm really grateful for the contribution that Robert Sanchez made for Chelsea Football Club last season. He was integral in us getting over the line. But you can be grateful without being sentimental, can't you? You know what I mean? I'm grateful to the bird who I lost my virginity to. Doesn't mean I'm going to then go and marry her, does it? Like, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird analogy, I might cut that one out, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? Just because someone has done something good for you, it doesn't mean that you then can't level up, because there's no room to be sentimental in football. By doing that, you will be left behind. And in the Club World Cup, Maresca is going to have an opportunity to look at Petrovic. Petrovic will play great, as I expect him to, and then Petrovic will be our number 1. And maybe we then go out and sign Maignan, and we have a good headache on our hands of who to pick out of Mike Maignan and Petrovic. But once again, wrong. Because despite Santos being taken, who was a teammate at Strasbourg of Petrovic's last season, played brilliant for them, but didn't win Player of the Season. Petrovic did. Despite him going to the Club World Cup, Petrovic has been told he has to stay at Cobham with the likes of Raheem Sterling, with Disasi, with João Felix, which means he's getting sold, doesn't it? It means he's getting sold, doesn't it? Fuck me. It's just ridiculous. Now listen, I've got a busy morning, man, a busy day in general, and I don't want to start it off by blowing the lid before I've even had my fucking cornflakes. But the alarm bells are ringing now, aren't they? Because I swear to God, if we go in to next season with Robert Sanchez, Jorgensen, and the mythical creature that is Mike Penders, that we're all hearing is this great goalkeeper, yet no one, including all of you lot, have sat and watched a full 90 minutes of this guy playing, then honestly, I'll be absolutely fuming. And I think that when it comes to Champions League football, and you look at the likes of David Raya, who will be playing in that competition, Thibaut Courtois, Ederson, Alisson, Donnarumma, like, oh my God, what, Sanchez? Is he going to stand up to those boys? No, he will not. He will not. He cannot compete as a number one with the likes of those goalkeepers. So, honestly, I don't know. When the window opens back up, I think we should go for Mike Maignan again. I don't know. We need to go for someone in that position if we're going to sell Petrovic. If not, get Petrovic in. But the fact that he's been left out of the Club World Cup tells me we're selling him, and I think that is an absolute disgrace. I'm trying to be very, very positive at this moment in time, but I felt so positive when I heard the stories of Mike Maignan, you know? I really felt positive. I thought that this board had screwed it together a little bit. And I realised I get it. We want the profit. We want the young players. We want to run the club in this way that is keeping us in real good standing with PSR and whatnot. But at the same time, we need the experience to compete on the pitch. And competing when you're Chelsea Football Club, as much as I celebrated it, is not Europa Conference League and it's not finishing in Champions League spots. It's winning league titles. Mike Maignan wouldn't have been the difference between us winning the league title and not winning the league title, but it'd have been a step in the right direction. Chelsea Football Club, sort it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, people. I will see you all in the next one.